You're right.
It's Waxing Lyrical, baby.
Hello, Waxers, and welcome to Waxing Lyrical with Mains and Dutch. I'm your host, Mains, and my colleague in the queue for free food, the Lyrical. It's Mr. Neil Dutton. How are we, Neil?
Greetings, sir.
As we speak, Neil is actually outside at an Indian restaurant in McGull, so we may have better internet than his house in Rainford.
Look, if they're going to, they're going to on the offer menu for their grand reopening, where they say welcome drinks and complimentary food, you had me, you had me a complimentary.
Exactly. It doesn't matter what it is. It's Dutton's favourite Indian. It's back open, and they're giving away free stuff. So if you're wondering why Dutton's quiet for the next few weeks, it's because he can't get rid of him. Much like Homer when he goes to the all-you-can-eat place.
Yeah. If it's free, it's me.
It's free. It's you. Dutton, we're back only a couple of days after our least one, where we only made a couple of people angry with our picks. People of Arizona not happy. There we go. When we're right, we'll laugh at ourselves. No, we won't. We won't be right, but that was cool.
Wouldn't know what being right felt like.
No. So we're back to do the second half of the draft. Picks 17 through 32. I don't know about you, Neil. What I noticed about 17 through 32, it becomes much harder when you've already picked 16 players.
It does when you've only heard of the 16 players for the first round, and then you all of a sudden have to start meeting these people for the first time, Paul.
I know a majority of these players. That's mean. I haven't met any of them, as none of them were in Disney World last year for 2 weeks. So and that's the only time I've been to America in the past 5 years. So yeah, I haven't met any of them.
Crying it in, are we?
I am. So usual stuff. We're going to do Weird World first. I've got a classic about how much you'd help your missus through poor job struggles. And then we're going to get straight on with the draft part 2, starting with the Washington. I think the semi-professional football team at the moment. I think that's fair to say.
No.
They're not even semi-professional. What's below? The Washington amateur football team.
They're going into a draft without a GM. I fail to see how the word professional can be applied to this situation in any way, shape or form.
Well, I'm sure we'll be fine. He says.
Because Bruce Allen's steady hand at the tiller can be trusted.
Yep.
I don't like it when I win this easy.
There's no argument. This isn't a debate. This is just you telling me stuff and me agreeing.
Yeah, I mean, this is essentially the mocking equivalent of punching a ginger kid at school. Quite apt, really. But,
Well, yeah.
You punched
anyone. Like you punched anyone in school.
We didn't have any gingers.
No, Dave didn't have gingers, did he? Weird.
It's obviously it's me showing my dominance, but ultimately, where's the fun in it?
It's not. There's no fun in it. There's no fun. We will get on to Washington pretty soon, but before that, I've got a story of a Navy SEAL who's under fire for helping his wife out. The problem is he was helping his wife with her career as a porn star. The wife of decorated, love the way they're always decorated. Navy SEAL is under military investigation for moonlighting as a porn star. Said he was just helping her career and shouldn't be sanctioned. Joseph John Smith III, of course he is, a Navy Chief Special Warfare Officer. That's a great job title. Who has spent 23 years in the military, has made more than 30 porn films since 2010 under the name J. Voom. Most of them with his wife, porn star. He gets better. Jules Jade. She told the Huffington Post on Friday. Navy Special Warfare Command has begun investigating whether Smith violated rules that require SEALs to get advance approval for outside work. Some would say, Dutton, he was doing inside work. Ray.
Ba-boom.
Thanks. I'm here all week. And whether the superiors knew of his side job. Quite honestly, no one should care about because it's a legal job and a lot of people watch porn, Jade said. But he's such a good operator with a clean record. Not sure if she's talking porn now or Navy SEAL. He's been a Sailor of the Year numerous times and a great public speaker and recruiter. What's he recruiting? I guess the question how much would you help Kate with her job?
Well, I should point out that someone who's a Navy SEAL should know all about the value of a covert mission, and getting in and out and no one knowing you were there. And generally, I would think even a sideline in pornography probably doesn't really hit that category.
The thing is, if he because I love smut, so I could do this all day. So if he got in and out with no one knowing he was there, he probably wouldn't have been that good in the porn industry. Ray!
True, yeah. So in answer to the other question, I don't think Kate would particularly appreciate me trying to help in any regard in her place of work, because she doesn't really like me helping in the house.
I think she does like you helping, it's just that you don't help. You actually hinder.
Hang on a sec, dear. Do you like me helping around the house?
No.
But Paul would like to know: is that because Is that because Neil gets in the way?
Is that because I get in the way, or because I'm not very good? Because I'm crap.
Well, yeah, okay, that's fair enough. By the way, we are now talking about housework, not Neil's
not pornography.
Neil's bedroom aerobics. Yeah, so as always with Weird Will, I'm going to just move swiftly on because no one wants to talk about that.
No.
As always with Weird Will, if you've got any, you think they're funny, you think they're just bizarre, let us know. We're combined at waxing_lyrical. I'm at Maindy7 and Dutton is at ndutton13. We love the Weird Whale stories, or I do, because they're funny. And any ones that got porn related is more the better, because I get to do smart jokes.
You can as with regard to our Twitter handle, come for the humour, stay for the spelling mistakes and the terrible grammar.
Yeah, that's me. Woo! You could learn the password and tweet yourself.
I don't need to.
Okay, there we go.
So, I already have a brand. I'm okay, thank you.
Wow, there you go. Just in case you were wondering if this was a stepping stone. So let's get on with draft part 2, and let's start.
You're holding me back.
I've been holding you back for at least a decade, and you know it. Let's start with the Washington semi-professional football team, and I'll let you start. Who have you got them picking?
Well, I still think that the main priority of this team, despite the gutting on offense, is the defensive side of the ball. They lost Chris Baker, so to reinforce that area, I think they'll go with Space Cadet and Flat Earth apologist Malik McDowell.
Yeah, I see what you've done there. I obviously I've also gone defense, because although we have gutted the offense, there is still a lot of talented players on the offense. I'm going to go with Hassan Reddick. He's a linebacker from Temple. If anyone's seen Washington's linebackers attempt to cover in the past 2 years, you'll see why this needs to happen as soon as possible.
And obviously, what's it? Because the Washington Redskins obviously have got some problems, with the secondary, and Trent Murphy is also suspended 4 games for PD. So there are needs.
At the end of the day, they can't go wrong by picking someone on the defense. The issue is going to be if one of the running backs drops. I think they're going to pick them, and it will be shiny thing, Neil. But that's an issue. But luckily, in our mock draft, or mine anyway, that didn't happen. Neil, the Tennessee Titans pick again at 18. Who have you got them taking?
Who did you have them taking at 5?
I had them taking... I don't know. I'm on two... It's 2 different tabs. What are you doing to me? I had them taking Marshawn Lattimore, cornerback, Ohio State.
I have them taking Marshawn Lattimore, Ohio State, at 18. Their secondary was atrocious, which, given that their defensive coordinator is Hall of Fame coach and former cornerback Dick LeBeau, that must stick in his craw. So I think Lattimore will upgrade that unit. They did release Jason McCourty this week to create some cap room, and obviously that does create a need for an impact corner.
Who did you have them picking at 5, Dutton, if you remember?
I had them taking Mike Williams.
You hadn't taken wide receiver. I've gone all defense. I've gone all secondary. They did take Marshawn Lattimore. I see them taking Tre'Davious White, who's the cornerback from LSU. He probably won't pick two corners, but it's not the worst. It's not the worst thing they could do at this position. As I said, they were 29th against the pass. If they can get that down, what did they finish last year? 8-8, 7-9. That, you know, they're only a couple of victories away. Only a couple of victories away from being a playoff team in a poor division. Just being able to stop Andrew Luck may help on that task. Dutton, our favourite darlings of the off season, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who have you got them taking?
I've got them upgrading their offense, even though they did add Deshaun Jackson, and they already have Mike Evans, Cameron Braid. But I've got them taking another tight end with David Njoku from the U. Someone said, you know, they've already got Braid, they don't need a tight end. Yeah, but Brandon Myers and Luke Stocker were also on the field at the same time as Braid. So if they can get rid of those two and get Njoku in, they're in business.
I also randomly, Dutton, considering we're now at 19, have them taking David Njoku. I think they probably want to take a running back here, but with the three off the board and the next most talented one continually coming out to punch women, they're not going to do that. So I haven't taken Njoku. As you said, they've got Breed, but if you can upgrade in that position and you've got Evans and Deshaun, you know, any weapons you can give Jameis Winston is a good thing for me.
That second allegation regarding Joe Mixon has been recanted, by the way.
No. Well, the first one hasn't. The first one hasn't. The father who said, I know for a fact that he punched my daughter at high school, said, no, I said that 6 years ago. It was since cleared up. This has been dug up by someone to put out. And basically this fella came out and said, this has been a put-up job to further besmirch the name of Joe Mixon. I think he can do a good enough job of that by himself. Yeah, I think you're right. The Denver Broncos, who have you got them taking?
Well, this is a team, as you know, that are built on the defence. Vance Joseph, defensive coach. They've got quarterbacks they can choose from. They've got two good wide receivers. Still need help with the running back, but this is a team built on their defense. And I think with Mr. Talib, who's always a good bet to get into trouble, he must be approaching the end. I've got them taking Garyon Conley,
cornerback, Ohio State. For those who don't know. For anyone who watched the Broncos last year, it was a up and down season for the team that won the Super Bowl the year before. But one thing for certain is they could not block. They had a terrible offensive line last year, and that's why rumours of the likes of Tony Romo going there were not hilarious, but would have ended in disaster. Mainly the disaster for bones inside Tony Romo's body. I've got them taking Garrett Bowles, who's the offensive tackle from Utah. They need as much tackle help as they can get, and I think he's the best available at that point.
I did contemplate Bowles myself, to be honest. I was looking at Bowles, Ramczyk, or Conley, and I just thought I think if they can make themselves as hard to beat defensively, then maybe their offense doesn't have to pick up so much slack.
True. Detroit Lions, Dutton, and their new unis.
Interesting unis, aren't they? I'm not sure whether I like them or not.
But it's better than like the Tampa Bay nonsense. I don't mind it. I don't know if I need to know the Lions by putting the Lions on the sides, but that's just me.
Don't know where that's creeped in from. We know what their offense is. It's short passes, it's quick, quick out, it's dink and dunks. So I think a more prototypical X receiver is required. So I have them taking Corey Davis,
who's the wide receiver from Western Michigan. I've got them taking Charles Harris, who's the D end outside linebacker at Missouri. 4-3-3-4. We're in that kind of what are they playing? Most teams play a hybrid of both. They need someone to get at the pass at the quarterback, and Charles Harris is one of those guys who is capable of doing that. Has had issues whether it's going to happen all the time, but I think that's where the Lions go.
On the latest Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast with Fran Duffy, he speaks to Josh Norris of Rotorworld, who in his most recent mock had Charles Harris going to the Eagles. So regardless of where he goes, to hear Fran and Josh talk about him, you should download that one, which you already do, of course.
Of course, if you Eagles fanboy. Dolphins Dutton, who enlightened us today with news that they've got a new concept of signing young, talented players.
Omar Kelly is stealing a living. He is seriously, as a beat writer, he should be beaten up. He's a terrible, terrible beat writer. Their defense was good last year. It enabled them to be, solid power running game. Still think they could do with a few more weapons. Ryan Tannehill might not be the answer long term. Who knows anymore? But I've got another tight end going off the board. That's 3 in the first round so far. And I've got them with, obviously, Njoku would be a better one. In-state, went to the U. But I've got them taking Evan Engram.
As you can tell, Dutton's done a lot of study on the tight end, so he's hiring them, and that's why he's picked 3 already. I've gone slightly differently on the Dolphins. You want to find out if Ryan Tannehill is the answer or not. The best way to do that is to keep him upright as much as possible. I've got them taking offensive guard Forrest Lamp, not because it's an awesome name, from Western Kentucky. Anyone tell me what division they play in? Answers
Western Kentucky.
Postcard.
Is that the Conference USA?
I believe it is, but I don't actually know. Back into our division, in the NFC East, then we have the New York Football Giants.
Well, as we know and as we discussed with Fran recently, they have issues on the offensive line, or the turnstile, as we like to call it. So it came down to a choice between Garrett Bowles and Ryan Ramczyk, but I had taking Bowles, Garrett Bowles, who you had going to the Broncos.
Which is funny, Dalton. I look at this, and I think it's difficult not to pick offensive line for them for me, and I've stuck with it, and I've gone with Cam Robinson, who's the offensive tackle from Alabama. They would be hoping that Ramczyk and Bowles are still on the board. In my draft, they're not. So they'll just take the next best one available, I guess, and that one is Cam Robinson for me. Oakland Raiders, Dutton.
Young team on the rise. They've got a few decent pieces on defence, notably, Khalil Mack, but their linebackers are atrocious. So I have them taking Hassan Reddick. Nice.
I've also gone defence. I don't think there's any surprise there, really. I've taken someone you've already taken, which is Kevin King, the cornerback from Washington. Help with the secondary again. They conceded a lot of points, and any help on the back end to stop passes will be useful. So I've gone with Kevin King. Dutton, Houston Texans.
Now,
This is fun.
Just because I have him taking him, I do not believe he starts week 1. But I've got the Texans taking Pat Mahomes.
See, now, it's funny you should say this, Dutton, and not because, I contemplated this, and Pat Mahomes is the quarterback from Texas Tech, by the way, who threw for 1 billion yards, but mainly due to the fact, he was in Texas Tech system in the Big 12. I thought about a quarterback here for the Texans. I've already lost Mitch Trubisky and Deshaun Watson. I couldn't pull the trigger on Mahomes because I don't think that's who they want. I think they'll want someone like Nate Peterman, who's the quarterback from Pittsburgh, who they can probably get in round 2 or 3. So I didn't have them taking a quarterback. I don't know if that means that Houston will start, as we said, turning over cars and setting them on fire. I've got them adding to strength, and I've got them getting a playmaker, but a playmaker who can also help the offense in a roundabout way, and that's Jabril Peppers, who's the safety from Michigan. he was a 5-star recruit. I think he was the number 1 recruit in the year he came out. Flattered to deceive a little bit in college at Michigan, but has a lot of talent. Is someone who can go get the ball, but also is someone who can play a big role in special teams. And when you haven't really got an offense or a quarterback to lead an offense, help any way you can get it in special teams is useful. So I'm going to get them with Jabril Peppers, who shores up the safety position, but also gives you a threat to return the ball.
I did see that John Gruden said that the most NFL-ready quarterback of these rookies was Peterman.
Yeah, so I think that's just the style of play, but it also may be a bit of a knock against the other quarterbacks as well, to be brutally honest.
Have you seen, by the way, that Brian Kelly will attend the draft to support Deshaun Kaiser? Well, we've seen what your support's worth, Brian.
Your support, like, if you saw any of Notre Dame, which if in the UK you would have seen quite a bit, the fall off from when he played against Texas in the first game of the season to the end of the season was horrific. So thanks for coaching him, Brian. It was really helpful.
Yeah, and if you're going to come out in public and say, I think he probably should have stayed at school, what are you saying behind his back?
Exactly, Dutton. Exactly.
Vermin.
We talked with Rob Stanton a couple of weeks ago. Dutton, who have you got going to the Seattle Seahawks?
Well, as I say, I think they would have, maybe taken Kevin King if he was still on the board. But I don't think Richard Sherman's getting traded this year. Do I think he could get traded next year? Possibly. So I don't think there's any position here, because we know they're not going to take an offensive lineman this high. It's not what they do. So I've got them taking a little bit of a project, a little bit of a gamble, but it's a player they don't need to start straight away. And I've got them taking Sidney Jones.
Sidney Jones is the wide receiver, right? Oh no, sorry. Sidney Jones is the guy who did his Achilles, right? So yeah, okay, that makes sense, absolute sense. I also have gone defensive backfield. Everyone loves the once a year Cam Chancellor needs a new contract debacle. Earl Thomas is obviously injured at the moment. Someone who blew up the combine and also is pro day and is going to give us years of fun, I think, in the NFL, is a guy called Obi Melifonwu. He's a safety from UConn. Don't say I don't do study, because you don't even know who he is. Bam.
Godfrey.
Chiefs.
Where is he here? Close to high safety.
Yeah. Kansas City Chiefs done.
Another slight project. They lost Antari Poe. They brought in Benny Logan from the Eagles. Logan doesn't play down in, down out. He will take plays off, so I don't know, if he's going to be the long-term answer. So I've got them taking Dalvin Tomlinson to draft and develop as their next long-term nose tackle.
Nice.
It's a boring Chiefs pick.
They've got Peters. I think they want someone on the other side of him, and I've gone for Marlon Humphrey, who's the cornerback from Alabama. As you can tell from my one, I love an Alabama defender. Like. They don't all work out, let's be honest, but I think the more you produce, the chances are that some of them won't work out, but they are talented under Saban, so let's see what they're like under the guise of Andy Reid and his defensive staff.
You can throw enough balls at the coconut, you're going to hit one of them.
That's what I'm saying, Dutton. Final team in our division, Dutton, the Dallas Cowboys. Have you got someone that you didn't want them to pick, so you picked like a 6th rounder who really can have, or you've actually done this properly?
No, I'm a man of integrity. Allegedly. They didn't have a great deal of talent on defence, still don't. Lost an awful lot of it into free agency. So I've got them taking Tre'Davious White, who you are going to the Titans. I think he's best of not a bad bunch, but I think he's the best player available to help them.
He's the cornerback from LSU, as we mentioned before. I have gone for Taco Charlton, who's a defensive end from Michigan. they need to rush the passer. It will help the defensive backs and not need to cover as long. So get someone who can get to the quarterback, and I've gone with Taco Charlton there. Dutton,
and a great name.
Yeah, a great name. Dutton, Green Bay Packers.
Well, we know this team, struggles on defense. They put too much pressure on Aaron Rodgers to pull out the magic for them. So I've got them taking some defense, and I've got it written down. Where the hell is it? This is wonderful radio. I have them taking Jordan Willis.
Where's he played, Dutton?
I can't find that.
While you're doing that, I will say that they're taking Gary and Connolly, who you've already picked. He's a cornerback from Ohio State. Don't know if anyone watched. The Packers last year, but he sucked in the secondary. So any help he can get in that will be appreciative. And I've got them taking Gary and Connolly at that position.
Well, it'll certainly help. As you say. He's a Kansas State defensive end. Of course he is. Yeah, they defensive end, but they play 3-4. But as we say, hybrid fronts, and basically they need to stop getting into shootouts and trying to get arcade style numbers from Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Aaron can score 28, but it would help if you only had to score 24. Pittsburgh Steelers done.
They need pass rush. They need to stop playing zone. So if they could, if they could get to the quarterback a bit quicker, maybe they could play man on the outside. So I've got them taking Carl Lawson.
I'm going a bit random here, and much like in the Arizona Cardinals one, I'm thinking long term. I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking Patrick Mahomes, quarterback, Texas Tech. It may be laughed, and it probably won't happen, but you need to be thinking about this now. If you're Pittsburgh, there's a few teams in this position. The Saints probably in a similar position. The Giants in a similar position. Maybe the Chargers. You need to be thinking, what's next? Okay, you've had your franchise quarterback. Congratulations. But now you need to start taking the quarterback every year and find one. Now, okay, the first round may be a bit of a jump. But if we think he's the most talented, although not the most NFL ready, do you take him and then you've got 2 years with Ben or a year or whatever? Will Ben Roethlisberger be pissed off? Yeah. But you know what? I don't give a crap, because I'm running a franchise, not a lonely arts club. So he needs to deal with it, and I'm going to pick Patrick Mahomes, and he's going to teach him, and he's going to like it.
This is you can't run the bit. You can't let yourself be held open to a hostage the way that Brett Favre did with the Packers. It's like no. You're under contract till 2019. If you're not going to be here in 2019, we'll tell you. Or you tell us damn early in the proceedings that you're not going to be here. Yeah. You're a Hall of Fame player. You've done great things for us. You don't get to piss us round when we're the ones who out on the limb.
He's not going to be there forever, and you need to think about what's going to happen next. And you can't be like, oh, I'm retiring now, and then be like scrambling to try and get a quarterback. You need to think about this long term. I doubt it. To be honest, I doubt that will happen. That's what I would do. But I doubt that's what the Steelers do. They'll probably pick someone on defense, and they should do, because they need someone. Mm-hmm. But that's not what I would do. Final two, Dutton, and first one is the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, they, I'm not going to say they're set on offense, but we know that there's not an awful lot they need to add to that offense. So they need to improve the defense. That's what let them down in the Super Bowl. I don't know if you mentioned they blew a 28.3 lead.
Didn't know that.
So I've got them taking. No, it's news to me. I've got them taking T.J. Watt.
Nice, and that is for people who are unaware. That is J.J. Watt's little brother, who also went to Wisconsin and also played defensive end.
Yeah, man of the people. J.J. Watt.
Yeah, man of the people, J.J. Watt indeed. I also have them taking defense. I know they've got Dontari Poe. They have a tendency to play 4-3, but the teams like to rotate defensive tackles in and out. Dutton's already mentioned flat earthers already. I picked that same flat earther, Malik McDowell, who's the defensive tackle from Michigan State. Final pick, Dutton, should be the New England Patriots. It's not. It's the New Orleans Saints again. So who have you got picking for the Saints this time, Dutton?
See, this is where we come down to the fact that this is pure fantasy, because they've had 2 first-round picks. I've got them going defense. I had Jonathan Allen at 11, and I've got them taking defensive back Budda Baker.
Another absolutely wonderful name. I had them taking Derek Barnett before. I've gone defense again, as Dutton quite rightly points out. That just proves that this is fantasy. And I've got them picking Quincy Wilson, who's the cornerback from Florida.
Isn't he a composer?
I think
That's Quincy Jones.
That's Quincy Jones and Brian Wilson. So what you've done there is combined 2 famous people from the 60s and 70s.
Well, New Orleans is a great music city.
It is, Dutton. It is. Dutton, it's 9 days until the draft. We'll both be watching it on our NFL network. You can watch it on Sky via NFL network.
All 3 days?
All 3 days, yeah. Is it going to be on the red button on Sky, or has it just got a channel? Because that's a lot of. I think they've probably got a channel. That's a lot of coverage.
Yeah, they've probably got a channel, but bear in mind, Sky have got a Fast and the Furious channel at the moment, so they can afford it.
Not going to lie to you, over the bank holiday weekend, 5, 6, and 7 were absolutely watched.
You've wasted valuable moments of your diminishing time on this earth. Eat Arby's.
Each of these films has The Rock in. Ipso facto, not a moment was wasted.
We're talking about the same Rock, yeah?
I don't know if we are, because you're pulling the face that says he isn't a legend.
He's a terrible, terrible actor.
He's the highest grossing actor. First of all, you're wrong. He can't be a bad actor. He was a wrestler for a decade. Quiet your mouth, or me and Will Gavel will come and beat you up in our new Ginger tag team. We haven't come up with a name yet. It's got to be better than the Gingers.
Big Red 2.
I like it. Might ask Will in a minute. And also, his films are the highest grossing of the past 2 years. And Fast and the Furious 8 is... believe this, Fast and the Furious 8 beat Star Wars in global box office. That's unbelievable.
That just proves that there has been... No, it proves that there's a worryingly high level. The numbers of dickheads on the earth are rising exponentially. And you can blame Trump, you can blame Brexit, you can blame what you want. I'm not saying Fast and Furious is a symptom, but it's certainly not a cure.
It's interesting. That's Dutton's pulpit, and I'm sure that pulpit will continue to be dished out between now and the 8th of June as we beg people to vote, and vote sensibly and cleverly, and not blue.
Just vote.
Just vote, absolutely.
It's the only message I can say.
Absolutely done. Absolutely. Is there anything else after our extensive coverage of the draft where we'll get shouted at for being wrong?
No, as I say, I have my latest tight end prospect. I think to say this late stage, my last is OJ Howard. It came out today on RotoViz, and if you read it, you'll see I'm not the biggest fan. Certainly in terms of what I think he could do, could bring to the table as a fantasy player.
You may not like him. It seems like in our draft that people do. That's it from us. We hope you've enjoyed the draft special. We'll be back to fantasy nonsense next week. Top guys out.